Hey guys, it's Exhibit and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing something kind of different with today's video. We're going to be talking about 10 things you should know before you buy MX bikes. A little background on the game. It is developed by Paboso and it's a realistic motocross simulator that is based on a scratch-built physics engine that accurately simulates motorcycle dynamics and setup options. There's a lot of different features in the game as well, such as automotive industry standard tire mode, chassis flex simulation, dynamic terrain deformation, wet terrain simulation. I didn't even mean that to rhyme. User selectable rider gestures, as well as the capabilities to play it on VR. And after playing the game for quite a bit, I thought it would be best to give you guys 10 things you should know before actually buying the game. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So I receive a lot of comments between TikTok, YouTube, Instagram asking about what console you can play MX bikes on. Well, unfortunately, you can only play it on PC, which means if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, you're kind of out of luck. However, the game requirements on PC are actually not that bad. The recommended requirements are an i5, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and OpenGL 1.2.1 compatible GPU with 512 megabytes of RAM. You can kind of play this on like any type of laptop, honestly. I know my boy B, he plays it on a laptop, not even a gaming laptop, and it runs. It does crash sometimes, but it does run it. Now, if you want to play VR, then it is recommended to have at least a 970s or above graphics card. The game will cost you about $35, and you can either purchase it through Steam or through their website, which I'll link below. I personally feel that purchasing it through Steam is the way to go. It's really simple, and if you don't have Steam on your PC already, you should really download it. So MX Bikes is not a traditional arcade motocross game such as MX vs ATV, Monster Energy Supercross the game, or even the MXGP games. I would think more of like MX Sim. In MX Bikes, you can change your rider lean settings, which will affect how much lean your rider does when you move the analog stick. You can also change your bike setups, which will affect how your bike reacts to the physics that are already built into the game. This game tries to replicate real life physics, and I mean tries to replicate it, but sometimes it just doesn't work. In some moments, it will feel just like real life, and other moments, you just can't stop crashing. The slow physics are definitely something you will need to get used to. I still struggle with the slow physics at times, and sometimes you just can't control it. In MX Bikes, we have what we like to call mods. If you've ever played MX vs ATV or something similar on console, you know you can't change anything unless it was actually in the game. However, for bikes, we have hundreds and hundreds of different mods that can be imported into the game, such as gear, helmets, goggles, protections, and even bike life items such as Harley helmets, t-shirts, sweatshirts, Nike shoes, necklaces, etc. This may be one of my favorite things about bikes, honestly. And as a kid growing up on Reflex, I always wanted to rock the best looking gear, and being able to do that in bikes feels so good. You can download all of these mods on their website in the description below. It's mxb-mods.com. This leads right into my next point, real life motorcycles. There is a full team of 15 individuals dedicated to create real life OEMs each year. They base their models on the brand new bikes that come out by the manufacturers. They do an incredible job on trying to make the bikes look exactly like the new ones, as well as try to replicate the power for each one. For example, the power on the YZ450 will be way better than the RMZ 450 due to Yamaha always trying to improve their motorcycle, while Suzuki has had the same bike for the last 3 years. I mean, we are still kickstarting that Suzuki. I feel bad for Kenny. But these OEMs can be downloaded on the same mods website as the one before. There's also an additional website that is used for more information on these bikes, as well as the team behind it. This website is oem.mxb-mods.com, which I will also provide a link in the description below. Make sure you guys check it out. So you may be asking yourself, okay, there's updated bikes each year. You have some awesome mods for the game, but what about tracks? So when you purchase the game, there will be your standard tracks that actually come with it, such as Washington, aka Washougal. There also are some fan favorites such as Forest, Club MX, and Winchester that are all included when you buy the game. But you can also download tracks. There are hundreds, and I mean hundreds of different tracks, ranging from motocross, supercross, straight rhythm, compounds, from beginner to pro. It's incredible how many tracks there are. You will never have to worry about having to find a track. I think the hardest part is actually figuring out which track you want to play because there are so many of them. A vast majority of these tracks are also free. However, there are some tracks that will cost you. You can kind of think of it as like a DLC for a game where you can purchase the tracks and play them, but you don't necessarily have to do that. One cool thing about MX Bikes is you can play it solo with a trainer, which is basically a ghost that you can set up that mimics your fastest lap. This is huge when trying to learn the game when you're first starting out. This is also extremely helpful when you're trying to get faster laps later on in the future. A couple cool things about the trainer is you can actually increase the lead up to a second faster from your fast time, and or you could import a trainer from a pro to see where you can get better at. Unfortunately, there is no career mode like Monster Energy Supercross or MXGP games. However, there are some series that kind of replicate it, which I will talk about here in a bit. Now, if you don't want to play this game alone, I really don't blame you. I think it is better to play with friends. You can join a multiplayer server. There will be a plethora of servers you can possibly join. However, the best thing to do when trying to find one is to filter them by the number of riders. You can even hide the servers if nobody is in them, which I recommend doing. And if you filter them by the riders, you can figure out which track everyone is doing and join up and play with them. For example, if I'm ever live on youtube.com/exhibitmx and or twitch.tv/exhibit, make sure you guys are following. You will most likely see our servers at the top along with any streamers that have servers open. This makes it easier for you guys to join and play with us. Now, I just recommend you guys don't be a hazard when you join the lobby. Now, if you don't want to join a server, you can always create one yourself. There are a few different ways you can do this. You can host a world, which is basically creating a server directly through the game. You can have up to 24 people join, and you can change a few different settings. I would say this is the most common if you are just hanging out playing with a few friends. The downside of this is it will start to lag once you have more than about 15 people in there. Maybe that is just me, but that's what I saw. One way to fight this is you can purchase or rent an online dedicated server. I recommend renting the server as it's much easier to do, and you can do this on either mymxb.com or Racing Games servers. Both of those links will be down in the description below. If you rent your server through mymxb.com, tracks will be uploaded automatically, while on Racing Games server, you will have to manually upload the tracks you want to play. I think both work very well, and it's just personal preference on which one you would like the most. If you have a dedicated server, there are additional settings such as a blacklist where you can ban certain riders from joining. You can change the time of the race to a certain number, whereas doing a regular host world, you're limited to 5-minute intervals. You can also have as many people as a track allows, which in some cases is up to 35 to 40 people. The dedicated server also just brings more stability. I recommend using a dedicated one if you ever plan on getting more than about 15 people. So ranked lobbies were just recently created by Papiti. I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and if I'm not, I'm very, very sorry. He has several servers where it tracks different aspects such as your crashes, if you're hitting people, where you're placing to determine your ranked in the game. Everyone starts out with the 950 MMR, which is matchmaking rank, and the more you race in the lobbies, the higher or lower the number can go. His team has created a website which keeps track of your MMR, your safety rating, and even has a ranked leaderboard, which you can kind of see in the background of this video. I think this newly ranked mode is very interesting and has added some competitiveness outside of just your friends. And you guys know rank, you eventually want to be the highest you can be, if not first. I believe with more and more competitive tracks coming out, rank in MX Bikes will only get better. He has also been trying to update it consistently, which is awesome to see. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes off down the road and everyone is just playing these lobbies compared to just a regular lobby. As I mentioned before, we have series within MX Bikes. We have professional, amateur, and just some fun ones that take place throughout the year. The professional series follows along what is currently happening in the motocross world. For example, it's going to be following along Supercross, motocross, as well as MXGP. I'm really excited about all three of these because each one will have a new track each week, which is pretty insane if you ask me. All of these series are free to sign up, but you will have to pay for the tracks, kind of similar to what I said before, how these are kind of like DLCs. I personally think these are fun to get into, and having a new track each week, basically all year long, is pretty awesome. With that being said, MX Bikes is definitely worth trying out if you are interested in simulated motocross games and you have a PC. However, if you like that arcade style more, definitely stick to the MX vs ATV or the Monster Energy Supercross games. I think you'll probably enjoy those more if you like that arcade style. However, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys find it somewhat insightful. If you guys did, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that sub button. It would really mean a lot for me. And I hope to see you guys back here in the next video.